Welcome to Off the Page. Can you start by telling us about your book? Welcome to Off the Page, the show where we talk with Colorado authors to get the story behind the story. I'm Stacy McKenzie, a librarian here at Mamie Dowd Eisenhower Public Library in Broomfield. And today we're talking about a mysterious subject, intuition. I'm very happy to have Anne Salisbury and Greg Meyerhoff with me with their book, Eureka, Understanding and Using the Power of Your Intuition. Hi, Anne and Greg. How are you?
Hi, Stacy.
I guess the first question I have for you is, at what point in your life did you know maybe you had some psychic abilities, and then what brought you to write a book about it?
Well, when I was little, I used to see someone on the landing in our house, and I would ask my mother, who's that woman standing on the landing there? Mm-hmm. And she'd say, what woman? And pretty soon I just was quiet. When I got older, I found out we lived on a Civil War battlefield, and we were overlooking an area where there was a lot of activity. There were actually cannonballs found at the end of our block. And I had obviously been seeing somebody who was waiting for someone to come home. Oh, wow. And so as I grew older, I felt kind of odd that I would know some things that other people wouldn't see. Mm-hmm. And you know, when you're doing that, you feel like you're a weirdo. What's wrong with you? So I decided to research it for my doctoral dissertation and make total sense of it. Uh-huh. And then that's the birth of the book.
Okay, that's great. And Greg, how did you help her with the book?
Well, we did a lot of searching for a way to access intuition. Mm-hmm. Since we work together and see clients together, we decided that we needed to have some kind of formula to access intuition very easily. Mm-hmm. So we worked very hard in finding out a certain pattern that will allow you to access intuition, make decisions. Mm-hmm. And we developed the Eureka System, which is a 7-step formula, kind of like if you were making brownies. You could follow a formula. Okay. Okay, I can make brownies if I follow a formula. And so it's the same way with intuition. It's a way to access intuition with a nice 7-step formula. Okay. So we developed that together, and then I helped with the editing and adding a few comments and stories.
Not only are you very respected psychics, but you also do business intuition work. I guess another question I need to know is, what is intuition? How would you define intuition?
Intuition is knowing without knowing how you know. It's without using rational processes to come up with your answer. Uh-huh. It's an aha moment versus an analytical research that lands with a solution. Uh-huh. It's like just knowing who's at the other end of the phone.
Well, Anne and Greg, before we go any further, I'd like to talk about skeptics. How do you approach skeptics? What do you say to them?
Well, that's a good question. But I think there's a gradient of skeptics. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's some that will quickly embrace things, others that are kind of middle of the road, and others that won't embrace anything that's new. Mm-hmm. I mean, how long did it take for people to understand that the world was round? Okay, there's new ideas that come in, and then over time, they're seen as correct. Mm-hmm. Anne had a hypnotherapy school 20 years ago, and hypnosis was considered way out there, foo-foo. Now, you have an article in Wall Street Journal, full-page article, indicating the wonders of hypnosis. Mm-hmm. Or Bill Gates saying, there's going to be a computer on everybody's desk, back when the computer was as big as this room. Mm-hmm. So we embrace skeptics because I think the learning is better. They're almost trying to prove you wrong, and in doing so, sometimes they understand and like it and embrace intuition after they studied it.
And some of our best clients started out as skeptics.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'd push us hard, you know. And then once they realized, oh my gosh, you mean I have intuition? This is amazing. I can get these answers this quickly. It's just been an hour and I have an answer to my question. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's great.
Then they know that they did the questioning up front, mm-hmm. and they can relax with their answer. Okay. So it's a good thing.
Is everybody born with intuition?
Everybody's born with it.
Everybody's born with it.
Yeah,
the same amount?
It's like Greg says, it's hardwired.
Okay.
Now, it's going to be a different amount.
Uh-huh.
You could say that everybody can sing, right? Unless you have some physical disability, everybody has the ability to sing.
Right.
Now, you may be way off key, you know, or you may be an opera singer. There's a, you know, it's a continuum. Everybody lands somewhere in there.
So it's sort of like a lot of the other skills we have that we're born with.
Yeah, it's
Just
the
different
other side
people
of your brain. You've got the analytical side, you've got the intuitive side.
Okay. And you talk about in your book decision making. Intuition can help you with decision making. How does that work?
Well, decision making is probably the key to intuition, because when you ask a question, that's kind of the key. You ask a question and then you can get an answer. The intuition comes to you and you have an answer. So decisions, let's say as simple as buying a camera, okay? You can do all the analysis and then you want to decide which camera do you want. Well, then you go into a store and you just get that gut feeling, that this one feels right, which happened to me. Come to find out it was on sale that day. So I also have shopping intuition. So
Oh, everyone wants shopping intuition.
right.
Let me tell you what.
I'll tell you.
That's terrific. You also mention in your book about using intuition in business, and you all are business intuition counselors. Let us know a little bit about how intuition and honing those skills can help you in your business.
Well, you want to know that you're hiring the right person, right? I mean, why not know up front if it's going to be a good personality fit? Rather than 3 months down the line you realize, oh my gosh, why did I hire this person? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Well, why not spend a few minutes in the beginning not only reading their resume, but also saying, okay, I'm going to intuitively look at this person and see if there's a fit here. My personality to theirs, what the job entails, can they do it? And just kind of scan for the answers.
Okay.
And once you get those answers, you'll know more easily who to hire.
And the interesting thing is, you'll ask a man, obviously in business, if he has intuition. He definitely doesn't have intuition. Women have intuition. But a guy has gut feeling.
Okay.
I had a boss one time. I spent close to 20 years in the corporate world. And every time he wanted to know what I felt about a situation, he'd say, what do you feel in the gut? Now, if I would have said, Bob, that's intuition, Vietnam vet, special forces, he would have thrown me out the room.
Yeah.
I had a gut feeling, but I didn't have intuition. So businessmen and women use intuition all the time in decision making. They'll call it something else, but they use it. And what we are doing is helping people and businesses kind of put it on the table and use it as a tool instead of just analyzing everything. Just utilizing it as a tool. So yes, we use the left brain to analyze things, and then we use the right brain to have that intuitive gut feeling as to which answer is right.
Is intuition something that you can access whenever you need it, or is it just going to come whenever it kind of wants to be there?
Practice makes perfect, right? Right? So if you're studying your ABCs, why don't you also study how to go inside and get the answer? You just have to quiet your mind, right? And you can do that through meditation, self-hypnosis. You can talk to yourself in your dreams, or talk to yourself after you wake up about your dreams. And just start noticing, start practicing. Who's on the end of the phone? You just imagine. Who might it be?
Yeah.
Right? Or you go into the closet and you say, what am I going to wear today? I don't know. I'm going to come up with something. And you make a quick decision, 10-second decision. So you practice it.
Okay.
And then you start taking notes. You can notice in your journal, how did you do? And then you have feedback. And then you keep improving.
You mentioned a block in your intuitive abilities. What can you do to clear that block? What are you supposed to do when you're not getting anything?
Intuition naturally is supposed to flow.
Okay.
It's like a hose attached to a spigot. It's when you turn it on, the water comes out of the hose. If it's crimped, then the water doesn't come out. If you have awareness of intuition and you know it's supposed to flow and there's a crimp in there, then you can start looking for things. You say, I've got writer's block. We talked to some musicians not too long ago, and they said, yeah, we get writer's block. Well, if you know that, then you can start going through and figure out where that block is. So let's say you're real stressed. Can block intuition.
Yes.
So you find a way to relax. Take a walk, get a massage to calm down. Or if you have fear, like Ann said, those are blocks to stress. Then they won't be there. So if you know that it's supposed to run, then you start looking for those blocks. You have the awareness, and then you can start going through and then develop and reestablish that creativity. So if you're having writer's block, take a walk, get a massage, and then usually you'll come back and it'll start flowing again.
It sounds like intuition is really closely related to creativity.
That's where creativity comes from.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. That's your aha moment.
Okay, that
Right?
makes a lot of sense. Very good.
And if you go back through history, you'll see that a lot of the people who talk about intuition, Mozart, Aristotle, even Bill Gates, those people are very creative. Einstein got a lot of his ideas, he said, from intuition. So that's opening up to that creative energy that's coming through, and we call it intuition.
And
Also,
even Einstein said intuition is more important than scientific knowledge.
Okay.
So he acknowledged where his answers came from. They came from intuition. You know, you do the work scientifically.
Yes.
Then you take a nap and you wake up with your aha moment or your eureka moment.
Should you always trust your intuition, what comes to you when you have your intuition? What if something doesn't feel right? What do you do then?
That is really good, to notice if it feels right and notice if it doesn't. That's the practicing again, right? So if you go in, like Greg was saying about your gut, and your gut tells you that isn't right, find out.
Okay.
You know, if it's a simple thing, you can assume it's your intuition. Like, let's say you feel like your parking place is right in front of you, right? So you assume it, and you go down that lane, and you see if there's a parking place there. If it isn't there, nothing lost, seriously, right?
Right.
So you just go down another aisle and try your intuition again. And so that way you hone it. You're like, okay, this feeling, does this feeling really mean it's my intuition? Or is this my wishful thinking that I can park right up close?
Right.
Right?
Wishful
I had
thinking.
one just recently. I was taking a trip to see my folks down in Florida, and I was looking for the keys to their condo. And I kept getting, I lost them, so I kept getting, it's in the travel stuff. Well, I have a travel lot, so I have a travel drawer with all my kit, and I kept looking in there, and I thought, kept not finding the keys. So I thought, well, maybe I have bad intuition there. And then I kept looking in that drawer and kept looking at that drawer, and finally I said, wait a minute, travel stuff doesn't include just the drawer. I have a suitcase. Went to the suitcase, and there it was.
There they were.
So I could say that my intuition was wrong, but it was giving me right information. I just had to look in another area. So I was trusting it. I just kept going after it and looking for it, and then found it.
Because see, after you get the message, you have to interpret it.
Okay.
So
And these are some of the steps.
Yes,
After you
exactly.
you ask a question and then you
clarify the question.
Clarify
So
the
first
question.
you ask. You gotta know what you want. Your intuition. Otherwise, you know, how are you going to know you get it?
right.
You have to ask very clearly what you want. So that's where you ask and you clarify your question. And then you, there are tools that you can put to use to access it.
Great.
So we teach meditation, self-hypnosis, dream work, right? Some simple things,
Okay.
simple techniques. And then you let it go. In other words, you go take a walk, like Greg was saying. You take a nap. You do something fun.
Okay.
And then your eureka moment, your aha moment comes, and that's like, wow, here it is. I wasn't even expecting it. I just went out to dinner, and here's my answer. And then you, so we have the acronym ACT and LEAP. Okay, so then you let it go. Your eureka moment comes, and then you act upon it. So you're like, okay, now I'm going to take action here and see. And then you'll be able to prove if that was intuition or if it wasn't.
Okay.
If it wasn't, you head back through the steps again. See, you can continue
Yes.
it through like a loop.
What warms up the idea for maybe some skeptics, you're not expecting people to get the book and all of a sudden become famous psychics. It's to kind of make things go easier and to, am I right with that?
Yeah.
What can improving your intuition improve in your lives?
Well, you want to live in flow. That means it's easier. Doesn't mean you get every answer every time, but it means you get more answers. You're able to avoid more accidents on the freeway.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not that you avoid every single one of the backups, because we get a lot of backups here, right?
Yes.
But you're able to avoid more of them.
Okay.
And you start out by believing that you have it. Because if you believe you have it, then you can have awareness of it.
Okay.
So the book helps with that belief, goes through history of intuition, so people can understand it, believe it. They have more awareness of it. And when you have awareness of something, then it grows stronger. Okay? And then after you have awareness, you practice. So little things. You practice finding a parking place, finding your keys. You know, everybody has it. It's just reawakening it. Okay? Because as kids, we're taught to kind of push it down. We go into school and we immediately kick in our left analytical brain. So it's really not our fault that we don't know how to use intuition right now. And we're the same way. I mean, we'll have the intuition to leave early and we'll miss the traffic. And then the next time we'll be right in the middle of a 4-hour traffic jam.
Yeah.
So we're practicing just like everybody else, but we have just done it a little bit longer. But we're just like everybody. We're still practicing to make sure we get our decisions right.
It's just such a fascinating topic, and what I also found fascinating with you, in addition to all of the information that you teach, you also are pet psychics.
Yes.
You do psychic readings for pets.
Yes.
So I'm very excited for us to do some of that. Is that okay if we bring out a pet or two and
Yeah,
see
we
what
started as people psychics.
Yeah.
And then our client said, hey, I've got this dog and I can't understand why he's barking all the time, or this cat is peeing all the time. What can I do?
Exactly.
And we're like, oh, we'll talk to him. You know, we talk to people through energy. Why couldn't we talk to animals? And we found out they had a whole lot to say, and they were really interesting.
Well, that sounds so exciting. Okay, so when we come back from the break, we'll bring out a pet and see what they might have to say to us.
Great.
Great. Join us after the break when we'll continue our discussion with Anne and Greg.
Stronger, healthier babies. It's what the March of Dimes is all about. Learn more about healthy babies at marchofdimesbaby.org.
Welcome back to Off the Page. We are still talking with Anne and Greg, but now we have a new addition here. We have Josie here, and we're going to talk a little bit more about intuition and a little bit about pet psychics. Greg and Anne are going to get a little into Josie's head and find out what she's thinking. You might want to explain a little bit about the process and just start whenever you feel ready. I think she's doing pretty good.
Well, really it's not unlike being a translator with a foreign language. If you go to Italy and you don't speak the language, you get a translator. So what we do is we translate the cat's or the animal's images into something that we can understand and relate to you.
Okay.
Because their perception is a little different. Obviously, they're looking at a lower level, so when you're looking at things, you have to look at it from what their view is, which is down below.
Yes.
And then some of the things that they see may not be exactly what we're thinking. We had one dog that told its owner that it loved to be in the garden and enjoyed the flowers. And we asked the owner, and they said, well, the dog never goes out. Rarely. It's too old. Well, come to find out, they had a window, and the dog would sit and look out at the garden and enjoy the garden.
Oh, okay.
So the perception was right, and we were right in saying that it loved the garden, but the owner couldn't perceive that the dog loved looking through the window. So it's that interpretation, it's translating.
Okay. Well, what do we have here?
All right. So basically, I see the images.
Okay.
that she projects to me.
Okay.
Okay. And I hear words that she
Okay.
says. And Greg checks out the energy system. So
Okay.
just like everybody's different, right? So some people may see more, hear more, or feel more when you're picking up your intuition. It's the same when you're picking up messages
Okay.
from an animal, right?
She's reaching out there.
She is. She is. So basically, I just close my eyes because I see energy with my inner eyes, not my physical eyes. And then I just move my hand around and I feel energy with my hand.
Okay.
And then I just will tell you what I see. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
All right. So you can just say her name for me a couple of times and I'll clue in while my eyes are closed.
Okay. Josie. 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 Josephine sometimes.
She feels quite important right now. She's, in a sense, in a feminine sense. She feels a little bit like she deserves this attention. She feels that there are ways in her life where she should get more. And it wouldn't be, she thinks, wrong for her at all to have a little more fame. In other words, her feeling is she's really more important than people realize her to be at this point, and it's simply a matter of being discovered.
Yeah.
That's her opinion.
Well, that's my opinion too, I think.
Okay.
That's about right.
And what would you like to know from her?
I'd like to know how she feels about her another pet that lives in the house.
Okay.
That's a pet rat
All
named
right.
Guinness.
All right. So Josie, just tell us what you feel about Guinness. Does Guinness trail behind her a bit? Because she's showing me the image of kind of get away, off my tail sort of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she says he's more trouble than he's worth. This is her opinion. I mean, that would be kind of a rude thing to say to Guinness, right?
Yes.
But she's obviously relayed this message to Guinness before because she's showing me that she has hurt his feelings, sometimes on purpose and sometimes not.
I can, yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, yes. I think
Yeah.
she's probably hurt his feelings a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in her opinion, it doesn't matter because he's simply a rat. In my opinion, it matters because everybody's got feelings.
Oh, yes,
Right?
definitely, yes.
So I'm just saying, Josie, it matters. And she's saying, so what? so if you were to approach Josie in a way and say, you know what, Josie, you might be more famous quicker if everybody liked you, if everybody felt like you liked them back. And she's like, oh, okay, I haven't thought of that. If there's a benefit here, maybe I'll do things a little differently.
Sure.
So she's showing me now the image she might be willing to turn around and look at Guinness, your rat, and pay him a little more attention if she feels like it might get her more attention down the line.
People are so in tune with their pets. What kinds of issues do people come to you about their pets with?
Usually, well, we talk to pets who, we had one pet who was peeing all over the house.
Yeah.
And so she calls saying, I can't live with this anymore. What do I do? Do I have to get rid of my cat? You know, because ever since I started seeing this boyfriend, my cats just won't stop peeing. Well, the cat was giving a very loud and clear message, nix the boyfriend.
Yes.
And she got rid of the boyfriend, the cat stopped peeing. And the cat was right, because we looked at the boyfriend and he wasn't treating her as well as the cat was. Now sometimes we'll look at it and the animal will be at fault. The animal will need a little bit of an attitude adjustment.
Yes.
But in this case it was the boyfriend that just wasn't treating her with enough respect, and the cat saw it and she didn't.
And speaking of attitude adjustments, I understand that you can do a remote reading, and I have a picture of my rabbit here, and this is Chewy.
All right.
And I'd like to know, this is an interesting way to do this, I'd like to know if you get any information from Chewy.
Okay, so Chewy. What do you have to say? Chewy's saying that she hasn't been treated right recently, in her opinion. Now remember, it's always their opinion. Okay.
Yes.
How does she live? Does she live in a cage, out of a cage?
Both.
Because she's showing me the image of a cage.
Uh-huh.
And